February of this year, the New York Times reported a U.S. citizen whose name I will not use, a transcript of the wiretapped conversation. Phone records, intercepted calls, intercepted communications, and reported the NSA captured calls and then asked the FBI to collect as much information as possible. My time is up, so I will say this for this round. I thought it was against the law to disseminate classified...
Oh, yes, sure. It's a serious crime. I'm not going to comment on those particular articles because I don't want to, in any circumstance, compound a criminal act by confirming that it was classified information. But in general, yes, it's a serious crime, and it should be, for the reasons you said.
We'll take it back up next round, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. I'll now yield 15 minutes to Mr. Schiff.
Director Comey, I want to begin by attempting to put to rest several claims made by the President about his predecessor, namely that President Obama wiretapped his phones. So that we can be precise, I want to refer you to exactly what the President said and ask you whether there is any truth to it. For the victory, nothing. This is McCarthyism, unquote. Director Comey, was the President's statement that Obama had his wires tapped in Trump Tower a true statement?
In all its components. The Department has no information that supports those tweets.
Mr. Obama and presumably the FBI of engaging in McCarthyism. As you understand the term McCarthyism, do you engage in such conduct?
I'm not going to try and characterize the tweets themselves. All I can tell you is we have no information that supports them.
Were you engaged in McCarthyism, Director Comey?
Try very hard not to engage in any isms of any kind, including McCarthyism.
The President second stated, quote, "Is it legal for a sitting president to be wiretapping a race for president prior to an election? Turned down by a court earlier, a new low," unquote. Director Comey, can you answer the President's question? Would it be legal for President Obama to have ordered a wiretap of Donald Trump?
I'm not going to characterize or respond to the tweets themselves. I can tell you in general, as Admiral Rogers and I were just saying, there is a statutory framework in the United States under which courts grant permission for electronic surveillance, either in a criminal case or a national security case, based on a showing of probable cause, carefully overseen. It's a rigorous process that involves all three branches of government, and it's one we've lived with since the late 1970s. That's how it works. So no individual in the United States can direct electronic surveillance of anyone. It has to go through an application process, ask a judge. The judge can then make the order.
So President Obama could not unilaterally order a wiretap of anyone?
No president could.
Mr. Trump also asserted in that tweet that that the application or the President's order was turned down by a court. Was there any request made by the FBI or Justice Department to wiretap Donald Trump turned down by a court?
That's one of those subjects I can't comment on one way or another. Please don't interpret that in any way other than I just can't talk about anything that relates to the FISA process in an open setting.
Third, the President stated, "I bet a good lawyer could make a great case out of the fact that President Obama was tapping my phones in October just prior to the election." Director Comey, you're a good lawyer. Can you make out a great case that President Obama wiretapped Mr. Trump's phones just prior to the election, in light of the fact you have said there's no evidence of that?
All I can say is what I said before, that we don't have any information that supports those tweets.
Well, in my view, then, you would not be a great but a very unethical lawyer to make out such a case. And finally, the President made the following accusation: "How low has President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon, Watergate, bad or sick guy." Director Comey, the President has compared Mr. Obama to Nixon and purported wiretap of Trump phones as another Watergate. What was the gravamen of that offense?
Well, as I recall it, then I was...
And it was a break-in of the Democratic headquarters by operatives of the President, was it not?
That's my understanding is that's how it began. The
and it also
began.
involved a cover-up by the President.
Yes, as I said.
You said there's been no evidence of an illegal wire. Is there not?
The intelligence community report, the unclassed report, said in January the Russian intelligence services hacked into a number of enterprises in the United States.
Published the stolen material, isn't that right?
Certainly to cover up that they were the ones releasing it.
Director Rogers